Let's talk about forced birth, because that's what the evangelical movement is. Let's use the heartbreaking case of Adriana Smith. It's a 30-year-old young lady who was, I believe, 9 weeks pregnant, and she had complications from her pregnancy, and she got brain clots in her brain, and sadly, she's brain dead, and it's awful. But the state of Georgia, because they have a heartbeat bill, because, they're so pro-life, they're forcing her to stay alive on a ventilator, essentially making her a version of the Handmaid's Tale, where they're going to use her as a baby incubator. That is disgusting, awful, horrific, unforgivable. It should be a crime. Now, let's presume that they keep her alive for the next 5-6 months, however long it is, and the baby makes it to term. Let's just hypothetically play this out. That family is going to be in tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars in medical debt, because these fake Christians, these forced birthers, wanted to push their religion on Adriana Smith. Do you think they give a shit if they're in debt, if they file bankruptcy? Do you think they're going to come to her rescue? Of course not. Now, let's presume that the baby's born, right? Baby comes out. Do you think these forced birthers care if it has clean water or clean air? Do you think those forced birthers care if that child is shot in a school or a shopping mall or a movie theater? Of course not. They don't care. Second Amendment, freedom, freedom, freedom. It's a cost of doing business, right? Do you think those forced birthers care if that child has health care? Of course not. Or if the child even has a home? Of course not. Because that's socialism. See, that's why they're not pro-life. They're forced birth. What evangelicals do is they force people to live by their religious ideology. Do you see these quote-unquote forced birthers fighting for the 36.8 million people who live in poverty? How about the 14 million children that go to school hungry? We have 40,000 people that die every year from gun violence. Do you see them fighting for them? Of course not. Of course not. Thoughts and prayers. But where do you see them? Oh, they'll stand in front of a Tesla dealership and they'll get their American flags and their big camouflage and pretend to be some kind of Rambo tough guy, because they're cowards. They'll defend an electric car more than school shootings. They are disgusting. They are morally bankrupt. There is nothing pro-life about them. They are forced birthers. They want people to live by the code that they want them to live by, but they don't have to, right? You're so pro-life that you voted for a man who's an adjudicated rapist against Jean Carroll. Did you care about her life? How about the life of Officer Sitnick? Did you give a damn about his life? His family will never see them again. He'll never be there for graduations, bar mitzvahs, soccer games, ice hockey games. And there was 3 or 4 other officers that took their own lives because of the PTSD caused. Do you care about their lives? They're never going to see their children grow up. They're never going to see their wives again. They'll never be grandparents. How about the other officers on January 6th that had missing eyes and missing fingers, crushed vertebrae, PTSD, long-term brain damage? You sure the hell don't give a damn about them, because you're not pro-life. You don't want to help anybody except for yourself. And that's what this is really about. Isn't it ironic that how many evangelicals on this Sunday, the day I'm recording it, pretend to be pro-life, and they're going to go sit in a pew while they have their fuck Joe Biden sticker and their Joe in the Hoe flag on their car? Isn't that ironic? And yet they won't even give people health care. But what they will do is they'll put Bibles in schools in Tennessee. They'll rename the Gulf of Mexico. And they'll demonize 12 transgender kids out of 500,000 students in college, out of 1,000 schools. Somehow they'll demonize them. But if you're a convicted felon, if you're an adjudicated rapist, if you steal from cancer charities, if you file 6 bankruptcies, if you have dinner with Nick Fuentes, who worships Adolf Hitler, if you commit tax fraud, somehow that's okay. But her emails, but his laptop. See, the MAGA movement is a religious movement. It is not a political ideology. They don't care about anybody's life except for their own. And And that's really what this is about. They pretend to love thy neighbor as thyself, when the reality is, all they do is love thyself. In the last election, I voted for a candidate, Vice President Harris, who was going to help people with universal health care, help small businesses get started up, help people get out of college debt. I voted for everybody else's life. That's being pro-life. And you know what most evangelicals voted for? They hoard themselves out for the price of an egg. Give unto Caesar what is Caesar's. And what they did was they voted for Caesar's because they love thyself. They are the most selfish people that live in this country. They only care about pushing their own religious ideology. So stop calling yourself pro-life until you start giving a damn about any other life except for your own. Have a good day.